Jordans are having a hard time selling out. I've been thinking about this for the past few months as I see some of the OG colorways come back for the Jordan Retros, and a lot of them that have been dropping have been sitting on shelves. For example, the Jordan 3 Fire Red just released and you can find it on some sites right now. The Jordan 5 Green Bean, which originally released in 2006, still has almost a full size run still sitting on Nike. Even some colorways that haven't released yet that would have went crazy a few years ago, such as the Jordan 1 Yellow Toe, and you can get a pair right now for almost retail. So that had me thinking, why are Jordan Retros not selling out anymore? So let's get into it. The first thing I'm going to tackle, and probably the most obvious thing, is the price of the shoes and inflation. I think right now life is just so expensive and people are kind of being more selective with the shoes that they buy. Just recently we've seen that inflation hit an all-time high, and with Nike also being hit with this inflation, we are now seeing Jordan 3s at a price tag of $210. With shipping and tax, you're paying like $230 to $250 for a pair of shoes. Even if you don't think that is a lot of money to pay for shoes, think about how many shoes we get in a month. There's just so many pairs that come out a year that you kind of have to be selective if you don't have the money like that. If the Fire Red 3s are dropping in September and I see that the Jordan 1 Chicago is dropping in October and I see I don't have money for both of those pairs, I'm obviously going to wait for the one that I want the most. And for most people, that is picking the Jordan 1 Chicago. With the increase of Nike raising its prices, that means resellers aren't going to make much profit per shoe anymore. As much as people don't like to admit, resellers are a driving factor as to why shoes sell out. A lot of these people are able to buy shoes, sit on them for years to come, whether that be 5 pairs, 10 pairs, 15, 20 pairs. They're only looking at it for the profit. If one person could take 20 pairs, another takes 20, another takes 15, that adds up. If you're just a casual person that wants to wear a shoe, at most you're buying like 2 pairs. One for you to wear and the other one for you to sit on until your first one gets dirty. I know I keep bringing up the Jordan 3 Fire Red, but I feel like that this is a good shoe for this case. If we look at a store like Shop Nice Kicks, we see that there are still shoes sitting on the shop right now. Look at the sizes that they have right now. Size 8, 9, and 9.5. If we go to StockX and we look at the prices for these sizes, you see that they are the lowest out of all of them. The higher you go up, the more expensive that they are. If you are someone looking to resell, of course you're going to want to buy the biggest sizes and the most profitable sizes. So that's the first reason. The second reason is, I think we've been dealing with this for a little while now, where people are getting into this hype beast culture, as people like to call it. Basically, where people do not care about the shoe anymore, they just care about the resale value and the exclusivity of the shoe as a whole. Just to put it in perspective, let's say that the Jordan 3 Fire Red was coming out and they said they were only releasing like 40,000 pairs and the resale was $400. That means those same Hypebeast people will be willing to buy the shoe and also wear the shoe now that there's some type of exclusivity to it. I think over the past few years we've been seeing that more and more as Off-White came out. We've been having Travis Scott collabs, Supreme box logos, Bape hoodies, and items like that. There was even a point in time where people were opening up hype mystery boxes to get the most expensive things out of a box. If you watch any of those videos, you see that most of the shoes aren't really old school Jordan colorways. People get a lot of hate for being a hype beast, but if we're being completely honest, these exclusive shoes are getting new colorways and bigger innovation. Think about how many times a Jordan 1 Chicago has released. People are getting tired of these shoes. Think about when Virgil came in and he reinvented the Jordan 1 Chicago. He made the check really big. He had all this distressing on it. The flaps at the top were a little loose. The materials were a bit different. People were signing the side of the shoes in quotation marks. That completely reinvented the wheel. It could be the same colorway, but if you look at these shoes side by side, one of them is just more creative. And I think that's a big issue with these Jordans. With that being said, I feel like that's why the Adidas Yeezy blew up so big. One of the biggest issues that most people have with Jordans is that they're uncomfortable. There aren't many shoes that look stylish and are comfortable. The Yeezy 350, the 750, the Foam Runner, the Slides are completely different looking from anything on the market. Even just past Yeezy, we've seen the Ultra Boost and the NMD blow up. You can contribute that to people being hype beasts if you want, but in reality, it was just a new shoe to the game. Travis's Jordan 1 is one of my favorite shoes of all time. Some of the hype might have to do something with it as well, but overall, the shoe is just different. It's a Jordan 1, which is one of my favorite silhouettes, but the check is flipped backwards. That's something completely different. And also Travis Scott having the browns. I've never been a fan of brown, but when I seen that shoe, I instantly just started liking brown. I think to some degree, repeat colorways are fine. Someone like myself who is 22 years old, when the Cement 4s came out in 2012, I didn't have enough money to get a pair, but in 2016 I got my first job, they re-released the colorway, and I still have the shoe until this day. So I understand the reason for them repeating some colorways. Obviously they want money and they might not care about if I get a pair of cement fours, but for some people that is a big deal. My last point on this topic, which I feel like ties into my second point, is this generation doesn't care as much about Michael Jordan and his stories as the previous generations. I know some of you old heads are gonna get mad, you got your fist balled up right now, but I'm telling you, this is exactly what it is. A large majority of this generation hasn't even seen a game from Michael Jordan. I was born in 2000, Michael Jordan retired in 2003. I was never able to catch a live game of Michael Jordan. Now that doesn't mean I don't have respect for Michael Jordan's game and the career that he had, but for me and a lot of people around me growing up, the biggest influence to us is LeBron in terms of basketball. Unfortunately, LeBron doesn't have an amazingly good shoe that you could just wear casually, but people in my generation don't care about the stories anymore. I remember when the Shattered Backwards first came out, I think I was like 15 at the time. A lot of people around me were excited for that, but as time goes on, those stories aren't going to be circulated anymore. I think that's a natural thing that just comes with time, because if you look at the kids growing up right now, they're looking up to Steph Curry. They're realizing not everybody has to be a freak of nature. You don't have to be the tallest person on the court, the most physically athletic. You just have to be really good at your game and use that to your advantage. A lot of older people get upset when they see young people not copying the OG colorways, but how could you blame them? They haven't seen some of these colorways. They're not OG to them. They might be OG in terms of history, but a lot of these people haven't seen these colorways before. I'll even admit that Green Bean 5, I have not seen it until this year. And I know a lot of old shoes. I'm telling you, if you put a shoe in front of me, I guarantee you I'll be able to tell you the colorway, and most likely I'll be able to tell you the year. But there's so many shoes that drop between now and when Jordan first started that it is impossible for someone that was a kid to keep up with all of those. I even seen this tweet where this guy said if you buy Jordans at all and pass on these, something not firing on all cylinders. There's a disconnect somewhere. Basically saying people that buy Jordan should be buying this colorway. I feel like that is so backwards with people getting a Hypebeast all the time, telling them why don't you wear what you like, but why when it comes to the OG colorways you expect these people to buy these shoes? That just doesn't make any sense. And just to prove to you, I asked my Discord what their age was and why they think Jordans aren't selling out. If we look at some of these responses, it says I feel like it depends on the hype of the colorway. I feel like only the OG and iconic colorways to appeal to old heads. They're 15 years old. Let's go on to the next one. Jordans have too much stock. I agree with that as well. The retros aren't selling out because they're the same over and over. To the younger audience, it's just like a regular ass shoe that they've seen before. Overused. 17 years old. Now someone outside of that generation says recession, bear market, fire reds will sell out. I plan on picking up 8 or so in the year. No downside risk. Love them too. Only picked up 1 a day. As you can see, it's the exact same responses that I've been giving as well. So I'm interested to see what the landscape looks like for sneakers in the next 5 years. So that's pretty much it for today's video, man. I appreciate you guys for sticking around. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below why you think Jordans aren't selling out. Was I spot on with this? And if you want to see a video on Nike raising this shoe's price to an all-time high, click right here. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys in the next one.